Hi, this is Jason from Violator Comics Collectibles coming at you with another tour review. This time we're taking a look at the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Wacky Wobblers Megatron bobblehead. And this is from the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen toy line. This one is from Funko from 2009. So the first thing we're going to do is take a closer look at the bobblehead. Taking a look at the bobblehead, really nicely molded looking bobblehead. You know, we get a lot of the, nowadays we get the Funko and the Pop series with the small, like, gigantic heads and the real tiny bodies. This is kind of like before that, you know, before the Pop stuff was getting absolutely out of hand, crazy and popular. So you have, you know, much more larger body style. You still have that over-the-top head that you see with like bobbleheads, but I mean, it's still got a nice sized body. I mean, like, this is my hand, and you can see how big this guy is. I mean, he's a pretty decent size look, you know, bobblehead, which is really cool. I mean, as far as everything's concerned, the paint apps, really nice on this guy. So it's got that metallic looking metal to him. It might not show up as well under the lights, but the way they painted his silver looks really good. And then they did like the crevices with the darker stuff. It definitely looks like metal and a little bit weathered, which looks, you know, really nice. I really like the red, you know, bright eyes, the way they did that, and I like the gold in his mouth. I think that's a really nice touch that they did that. I mean, as far as everything else in the molding, you know, he's got his standard, that claw gun, which looks really cool, and he's got a nice regular hand here, which looks really cool, as you can see. And we'll take a closer look at everything in a little bit. And you can see going down into the base, it's got the treads, which look really cool. And then we see it says Megatron down here. And if you go to the side, you can see the nice profile. It's got that little claw looking part that's on his shoulder that was in the movie, as well as going on to the back. You have like little jet stuff in his upper shoulder area, and just everything's there. They've obviously overemphasized it to make it look like a bobblehead and give it that over-the-top wacky style. But I mean, it looks great. And then you can see it says Transformers Revenge of the Fallen down here. And then, I mean, obviously, the main feature of this figure is it's a bobblehead. It's on a spring, so you can move the head around, and obviously, you can give it that Wacky Wobbler style, you know, play to it, which is pretty cool. And it does wiggle for a while. You can see it starting to slow down, but it does wiggle for a while. It was actually hard to film this video because anytime I touched it, it started to shake. So you might actually see that in the little intro parts and stuff like that. But it's really cool. Like I said, it's got that bobblehead style look to it. But let's take a closer look at each part. Here you can see that face and those like beating eyes. I mean, just looks great. And then that gold part of his mouth. You know, they could have just left them all silver, but they took that extra time to give it that gold to it and really make it stand out, and it looks great. And you can see how everything's molded and like recessed in his mouth. I think they did a great job with this guy. I mean, just over the top. You know, you definitely tell it's Megatron. I mean, obviously it's an over the top version of him, but he just looks great, and you can get that wobble to him. His midsection looks amazing the way they molded him. I think it looks absolutely top-notch when it comes to this thing. You know, I prefer this style bobblehead to the Pop stuff with those itty bitty little bodies. I mean, they definitely have a lot more body to work with and to mold, and they did an amazing job with that space that they had. And here we have that claw hand, which has some gold on it right here, which looks absolutely top notch. You know, it's got that cool cannon look to it. You can see on this side, I mean, it just looks great the way they did that. And then his other hand is just that standard looking hand, but it looks great. I mean, the little claw fingers, everything looks good. And you know, they got the gold paint here, and there's a little bit of gold paint right here, and then even down into the legs, you got that little gold part. Here you can see his tread feet, which look good the way they molded it. You can see the nice white Megatron that goes across, and the nice black base that he's on. I mean, everything just looks great on this guy. Back of his head's a little bland, you know, which is expected. There's not much to it. There's a lot of, you know, empty space here that they maybe could have molded and stuff like that. But then as we go down, you can see his shoulders, and you've got the gold and his little engines down here. I mean, everything is just done so good on this guy. I mean, I'm really impressed with him. And then coming all the way down to the bottom, you can see the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen logo on the bottom. And like I said, it's just done so well. Like I really wish that, you know, Funko was doing more bobbleheads like this as opposed to the actual like Funko Pop stuff. And for size comparison, here we have the Wacky Wobblers Megatron next to the Leader Class figure from Hasbro from Revenge of the Fallen as well. And you can just see the Revenge of the Fallen figure, the Leader Class, is enormous, absolutely enormous looking, and this guy's still pretty big. I mean, he comes above halfway on this guy, so this is not some tiny little pop figure. I mean, this is a decent sized bobblehead. Like I said, I mean, the main thing is, you know, I prefer the old style bobbleheads. You know, this is what I remember when I think bobblehead. This is what I think of. You know, the Funko Pop stuff to me, and obviously they're not really bobbleheads per se. Some of them had that bobblehead to them, but most of them are now just like a vinyl figure with the head twist and stuff like that, and maybe has a little bit of articulation. But I like that this guy actually has arm articulation. I think that's really cool that you can at least kind of pose him if you want to put his cannon up and stuff like that. So, you know, another, you know, really cool, you know, collectible style figure from, you know, Revenge of the Fallen when it came out in 2009. I think they did a great job with it. Funko did a great job with the licensing from Hasbro and really, you know, did this guy justice. But once again, this has been Jason with Violator Comics Collectibles. Any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and I will see you guys next time.